I mean, I guess I can't say I don't know why. I definitely do know why I wanted to talk about self control. But that's gonna have to wait because it's backed up by a negative story. Well, it's not negative, it's more of a lesson, but it's more of a strict lesson for me. So we'll talk about we'll talk about that later on. Self control. That'll be a topic for later on. But I do want to talk about stress. Um, I was talking to my boy, really good friend of mine, very very good friend of mine. Um, he's well, he's grown. He got kids. He got responsibilities, got duties as a man. And I knew him before his plate of responsibilities got bigger or fuller, I should say. Um, he one of the most humble dude you'll ever meet. And he's shout out to my nigga, bro, for real. Humblest dude I've ever met, ever, literally ever. He has this line. He says, "Another day in paradise, man. Another day in paradise." Shout out to living in paradise. But I want to talk about stress because we had a conversation about it, and I don't know, it was a random conversation. Hit me up, talked about just literally the first message was strictly, I don't know why we stress. Just I'm just summarizing, I guess, the conversation, but I don't know why we stress. He asks, you know, I've done everything. He says, I've done everything. I've looked into everything of this has happened. This has happened. I've done uh, I've done psychedelic drugs, to see if somewhere down the path it will teach me, and I've realized the moment you hit bliss, or you ride this thing until you hit bliss, and then you realize, or you just go right back into it again. It's almost like he said, he used the word, it's inescapable. Stress is inescapable. Before I go deep into that, I want to talk about another story real quick on the side. It's another, I guess you could say, an extension of what I talked about a couple videos ago. Um, the person who was stressing out, I told before, sometimes it's okay to have nothing. And I'm pretty sure you guys remember that the vlog. Um, he was stressing over nothing. And I guess this is gonna tie together in this conversation today. That second story, those two stories are gonna both be really part of this stress conversation, because let's talk about real quick about stressing over nothing. Okay, so he had we talked about he had nothing. He had this, and that. And once I told him that, I guess I don't know if he used the advice. I don't know people if people hear me, because I don't give advice. I just speak what I think personally. But that's only if somebody asks me of my personal view. And he asked me, and I told him, and I'm guessing he utilized it, but as everything was going south for him, everything was going also up for him. It was positive for him. But everything that was going positive, I guess, was the unseen. You Um, what we can control is the only thing that we could justify being stressed about. He was something else happening. I don't think I said it again. He lost his job, and he called me the day after I made that vlog. He said, "Oh, and I just lost my job." And I said, losing your job. First of all, how did you lose your job? We explained it, and I said, if you don't think they have a valid reason for firing you, you should call them, or you should call the people hired from them. I said, oh, but I gotta, and he said, okay, I'll try to do that. I said, but there's always a next kind of thing. That job is not the last thing you could have. That job is only a tool to get you to your next step in or your next chapter of your life. Um, and he called me today, no, yesterday. He said he got his job back, and obviously I'm guessing he called them. He made his claim. And they listened and they found it valid because he was in the process of waiting for something important to be sent from him to him in order for him to go back to work. And in that process, they fired him. But like it did not make sense. It did not make point is I told them so right now we could control the only things we can control in this situation is we could call them. And right now you can't call them because it's too late. Tomorrow you could call them. He goes, yeah, definitely. I'm gonna call him tomorrow. I guess that's what he did, and I didn't get another response from him for a day, and then all of a sudden he hit me up to go back. He got his job back. Everything's going good. And I told him, the only thing you could do right now is focus on you. But I told him, you cannot stress over things. You can't control, and it's easy to say things you can't control because we feel like we could control anything. In that moment, I swear to God, we feel like we could if though that's the thing if we just could do it, if we just could change that situation, if we just could take back time, if we could everything is a if. It's not a reality of what's happening. Stress is a very like I said earlier, and I did agree with him when he said inescapable. Stress is inescapable. So like, how do we fix that? This is the first dude I was talking about who we were talking about stress with. He said, how can we fix that? I feel like it's just a, and I put it in his words, a bubble. Every single time I feel like I'm at the edge, I know I could break it. I feel like I could break it, but I never, I'm never able to break it. I'm never able to pop through the bubble. And I told him I genuinely feel like, and this is my opinion, and I told him that too. I feel like it can only be two things. It could only be, it could be either there's something very wrong with society that we've created, and it's legitimately a bubble. I'm gonna refrain from using prison or this or that. It's a bubble. It's a comfort bubble, and I'll talk about that a little later on, hopefully. But either that or there is something within us that knows there's something else we could do, or there's something else we're not doing. But then again, it also falls back to the society we've created again. What stresses you? The bills, the kids, all that is going to be there. And one thing about stress is we cannot forget that it's stress that we chose to put on our plate. So I told him it could either be something wrong with society, or there's something in our mind, in us, that feeling of every single time we're at satisfaction, we're unsatisfied because there's something we're not doing as a whole, as humans, as people, as us, as individuals. And I guess we went deeper into the topic, and I want to have that conversation strictly with him on on here on the Outerview. But yeah, I realized as we were speaking, and as I'm reminiscing on everything that done happened between my other brother and this other brother of mine, and it just I'm thinking stress is inescapable. It's inevitable. Matter of fact, and I'm saying this positively. Why? Just like oxygen in the air is inescapable because we physically need it to grow. Stress is that remember when I told you there's something we're not doing? Stress is that indicator of look for the root of what's stressing you, or look for what you're not doing, look for where you're not. And stress is when your mind and your body are not in line, and if they are in line, it's both of them not being in line with your environments, your surroundings. Sometimes when we stress ourselves, all we gotta do is, hey, I'm stressing myself with kids. All you gotta do is create a new environment for your kids that you and your kids could enjoy. That stress will disappear just instantly. But like again, I said, this is my opinion. I don't got kids, you know, so I can't really speak on facts and people who got kids. But there's a lot of things that stress people out, and all you gotta do is either, like I remember I told you, it's an indicator of there is something wrong. Just like the orange light pops on the car when the warning little thingy, exclamation mark, something wrong with the engine, or the engine light comes on, something wrong with that, or this comes on, all this, it's indicators of that there's something wrong with you know, the car. And usually when you see indicators like those, that you will feel the car stressing. You'll feel the car not driving right if you need new spark plugs. You feel the car not driving right because the car itself is stressing. And those lights are indicating you, hey, you know what? I need change. I need you to change this on me. Same thing with us. Stress is only but an indicator. Just like how we stress is a problem, or stress and problems is the same exact. Well, problems and stress are a little bit different. They feel the same, but they're a little bit different. They're a little bit different. A problem is act, and we'll get in that later on. But stress itself is an indicator that there is a problem mentally, physically, socially, environmentally, however you want to call it. You know, and I realize instead of trying to avoid it, how about we learn about it? How like we learn that oxygen helps us grow. So you know, we don't go trying not to breathe. We don't go trying to escape from it. We let it in. And I'm not saying you be stressed out. No, 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 no. You let it flow so that it could show you where the problem is. If you're stressing and you don't know why you're stressing, and you just because he talked about it too between the conversation, and I hope we do have that conversation again on here. Um, he said, and I quote him. He said, even when you're talking to somebody you love, you just get to the point where something inside you is boiling. Now, at that point, he didn't call that stress specifically, but he put it in the conversation of stress because in that moment you don't understand what that feeling is, and it's the journey of trying to understand that little thing between understanding and trying to, I guess you could say. That right there is the stress part, and it happens to everybody on different occasions at different altitudes and longitudes of life. Stress is inescapable, but that's not a bad thing. Matter of fact, that's a great thing because of stress we have the highest intellect, and we have highly intelligent people. Because of stress we have people who create things like cars, light bulbs. Those things are not created simply. No, they're created out of stress. Creation itself is a process of stress. The impact of. We know we've all heard about the Big Bang. A bang is not a simple thing. Is bang is just it's a collision. Collision, stress, all. I'm putting all those words together I guess to compare and contrast or whatever you want to call it. But stress we've created it to be a bad thing because we stress about unimportant things. I'm not gonna say useless. I'm gonna refrain from saying that, and if I'll catch myself if I can't. But unimportant things we stress because we have, and it's. I'm not gonna say they're unimportant too because if you don't do them, they do have consequences. So you have to, quote unquote, stress about them, or you have to worry about them. The how to, we're gonna have to talk about, my boy when he's on here, hopefully soon. But the stress itself, whenever you stress, just take a deep breath. Don't try to forget about your stress. Don't because in that moment, like I said, it's an indicator. You don't ignore the indicator. You look at the indicator. So you look at the stressful part in your life. Is it money? Is it bills? Get more hours. Is it this? Do that. You look bummy, go get a haircut. You need a new girlfriend, go out. Explore. Go on Tinder. There's always a solution for stress. And in most cases than not, if there's no solution for stress, then it's usually something you shouldn't be stressing about. It's usually something you're choosing to stress about because you're I'm gonna say how it is. You're bored. You don't know how. What I shouldn't say that, but usually stress is an indicator that there's a problem in our lives. And if you got no problem in your life and you just but you still stressed, just create something. Do something new. Kids are never stressed out because they're instantly curious and they're creating different ways of getting by this, getting by that, creating different stories in their imaginations. That's how we fix stress, I think. Let's let the inner child back out. Every single time you're stressed, that's all you need to do. Especially if you can't find out why you're stressed or how you got in the stress or what is even stressing you. Just let your inner child back out. Let that silly person, that curious person inside you take over. My boy said every single time he found a answer for this problem, quote unquote, of stress, he just he was faced with more questions. And I told him that's the key right there. If you're stressed, just keep asking yourself questions. Why this? Why that? Why? Just keep being curious. And before you know it, you might even solve your own stress without even you knowing because your curiosity got the best of you. Stress causes a lot of things. Anxiety, old age. Stress is stress is one of the biggest things that slowly kill us. So let's not be stressed. It's not a problem. It's never a problem. Just ask why.